Hey y'all. How we doing? Hello, Duck. Hello, Drake. That's funny. I'll deal with that later. Hello, Jungle Boss. Alright. So, this will also be definitely going on YouTube. Okay, let me mess with the settings first. I guess I can get started. First of all, sensitivity. Advanced is the best. It gives you the most control over your camera. It has this thing where it's like, you default lock on free aim. That doesn't matter, you should change it to whatever you want. Advanced is... So, what advanced basically does is that the camera moves with your crosshair, but with stuff like basic, you have to move your crosshair to the ends of the screen for you to start turning. And with standard, it's kind of like a combination of the two, where if you like get to a certain point, it'll start turning. With advanced, it'll turn and adjust all the time, which is much better. Lock on free aim. This is kind of subjective, what you want to do with this. Leaving it on, a lot of lock-ons, you'll be able to move around. The more I played, the more I prefer to have it off, because it's actually, personally for me, it's pretty hard to stay centered on my screen consistently. If you are good at that, you can turn this on, and it won't matter. For me, I'll turn it off. There are some bosses where it'll automatically give you the free aim when you're locked on. So if you're worried about that, those are off. These settings are pretty subjective. I like turning rumble off. Apparently rumble can be used when you land on some things. It'll make a sound cue from your Wii remote. I guess more of a tangible cue. So yeah. Alright. Sound, obviously, just like having a little lower. Hear better. Display, I like having my brightness higher to be able to see things. Not all the way, just at 80. That's up to you. Helmet opacity, supposedly, helmet opacity can increase the load of rooms. I haven't verified that yet, but to me, helmet opacity is distracting and it limits the field of view a little bit, so I turn it off. HUD lag also kind of annoying or distracting for me. I like having it off, but subjective. Yeah. You gotta change your settings in game. You can't do it from thing. Okay. We hit play game, and timing starts on the difficulty. I've only ever seen people play on normal. And we are going to get started. Please feel to ask me questions, gamers. Oh, you know, I forgot to add something to the pin message. Let me redo the pin. I can't copy this. Here. Copy. Okay, OBS doesn't support copy paste. Let me mute my mic so I'm not blasting my mic. Sorry, I forgot to unmute my mic after uh whatchamacallit. I need to change my Wii remote because this Wii remote that I'm trying to use, it's not very good with staying connected to my nunchuck, and I don't like that. But anyways, to answer the question, my duck there, favorite major to get first is probably Grapple Lasso. Okay, so we start here in Valhalla because of this racing preset we're using. Missile. Spaceman bombs, all the goodies. Missile there is pretty rare. Usually it's a major first item, and you don't really want to go for the missile because missiles in this game are not nearly as useful as the other games. But yeah, you need missile launcher in order to actually use missiles. Same thing with ship missiles. Okay, so here's a situation. We have no majors to start with so far, which is kind of rare. We have one check in Norian we can logically get. We have another check. We have one more check in Fire Brio we can get, and that's it. So usually the question is, depends on what you want to do. You can go to Norian first, in the hopes you find something that'll help with Fire Brio. The thing about, actually I'll go to Fire Brio, I think this is a good example. There's one check on the way there that you can peek, but you can't get without doing some out-of-logic trickery. I'll show what that out-of-logic trick looks like. I might not actually pick up the item even if it's a major, so I'd like to follow the logic for it. So, we'll go here. Instant warping in this game is very useful. I recommend trying to take advantage of it at all times. So when you shoot this, you can jump up to peek this item as you're doing it, and that looks like Boost Ball. If you're not sure what the model looks like, you can always give it a scan. Okay, so I'm going to show how you would get it if you want to learn. So you got to learn SSJs if you want to participate. SSJs are at beginner, and they're much easier to do in this game, or BSJs are much easier to do in this game than in another game, just because Spring Wall gives you so much control over it and the camera's so lenient. Now, these things are standable. Just the team of it, they're not super hard to get on. but they are kind of hard to stay on, like actually land. This is in Logic and Beginner. This is Beginner Standable Terrain and Beginner Spring Space Jump. Part of the trick to this is that you need to understand that you can't just full press if you want to do this correctly, because the way Samus generates speed in this game, like when you're moving the direction, isn't like immediate, because a lot of people are used to holding the L button, prime 1 and 2, where if you move in a direction, you'll basically accelerate really, really quickly. But in Corruption, it's a lot more gradual. So you need to be a little bit more careful with how you're inputting it. Maybe just doing a soft input, or like keep flicking the stick to get on it. Either works. So from here, you can just space jump and go on top. You can space jump before you start moving, because sometimes if you hold into a slope and then jump, it'll eat your space jump. So we're supposed to have lasso or screw attack to logically get this. But something else we can do is an SSJ, which kind of looks like this. Oh, I ate my space jump because I had to get the slope. But that is the idea of it. I'll show my setup for it real quick, because it's actually it's a very, very useful trick to learn for races, but not, you know, wired. SSJing in this spot is a little tricky. You can SSJ here if you want. You just gotta hold forward more. There you go. So I stand about here, and I align it so that the middle of my screen is roughly the edge of this square here. And I hold to the right, bring space jump, and I'm gonna hold upright here to land on it. It's like a intermediate trick, I think. It's not too bad, but it's, you know, trickier than the SSJs you're expected to do. Okay. Go. I'm gonna go here again, look right here. I'm gonna hold Z so my camera gets reset, hold right, then SSJ late so I can obscure the camera. I'm not gonna pick it up yet because that's a little strong. We're gonna wait till we can logically get it. So here, make sure to peek up at the item as you're going through here. You can do a Instant-Amorph here, and a Spring Space Jump here to get up quickly to the door. Alternatively, you can jump in the middle of this, and then jump here. You have to be a little bit careful, because if you're holding all the way in, you might slide off. So try and hold neutral once you start hugging this. Now I want to get this item, which we can get more from bombs. So there's actually a way to see what the item is. You can vaguely see it from here. It looks like a missile expansion, but if you want to confirm, you can actually pull out the scan visor and scan it here. It's a little bit annoying though. Need to be at a bit of a... There we go. Yeah, it is a missile expansion, so we're not going to bother with that. You thought boost up was required for that? You can use boost ball for a lot of those to make it easier. Yeah. So if you ever wanted to maybe consider coming back, so because this is beginner, you may be expected to leave this up and then come back with screw attack or grapple lasso and do that sequence over here. So we're just gonna leave that up for now for when that occurs. But you know, if you do that trick to get it early, then you can just lower it on the way out. But we're not gonna do that yet. So logically, this was dead. So we only have one more check left, which is in Norian. Is vanilla grapple lasso. It would indeed suck. Alright, so if you have the lock-on free aim off, one of the benefits is that you can immediately lock onto this, shoot it. You kind of need to be a little bit further to the left to hit it, but it lowers out immediately. And also something you can do before picking it up is go over real quick just to see what this item is. It's just a missile. There's also another SSJ you can do here, although it's a lot trickier to do. The one here is not too bad, but the one back is just a little bit trickier. If you want to learn that, there are videos. You want to try and face the wall at sort of like an angle where assume like the wall sort of turns 90 degrees if you drew a straight line from the wall that you want to instant unmorph off of to you, just turn it 90 degrees here. Like, it comes to me at this angle, so I'm going to look roughly here. See again. Go. And also another thing that I'm doing for this, keep in mind, is holding in the diagonal angle of the stick, because moving diagonally in this game is faster than other forms of movement, so it'll make it a little bit easier. You could maybe do a roll jump for this, although roll jumps in this game are definitely not as good. And plus you risk hitting the terminal fall. And unlike the other games where it's pretty easy to abuse the terminal fall by just touching some ledges, this game is a lot more demanding with them. But generally you have to land on the thing that you want to terminal fall onto before it'll actually terminal fall onto it. Alright, so we're going to get this, which is an energy cell. Interesting, okay. So. What do we do now? So the energy cell unlocks the first room of Valhalla, and we can't continue going because this subsequent room has a grapple lasso block in the way. So let's think about our other options. We have one point of no return in this room, which must be required because despite getting an E cell to get in this other part of the Valhalla, we do not have grapple swing or screw attack to cross the gap. So our only logical check is Scrapworks, which you're supposed to have Boost Ball for. But technically speaking, if it's Spider or Boost in there, you can get out. But if it's not in there, it's a soft lock. It's a pretty easy thing to forget. I've had seeds where I've forgotten it and lost race because of it. Case for walking on long wall crawls too. If you mean the holding in like the diagonal angles, yes, stuck. It's the case for when you're not locked on to something. But if you're holding Z or not holding Z, then moving diagonally is fastest. Right. So technically with our logic, the only thing that is available to us is to get the item in Scrapworks and soft lock for it, which has to be Spider Ball, because we know where Boost Ball is. And that's actually a really good thing to come up, because Scrapworks can have that and can expect you to do it with just Spider. The problem is that it's pretty easy to soft lock, because not having boost means you may do things in the incorrect order. Yeah, being able to get that boost first would make getting Scrapworks very, very good. Especially because you can get the Scrapworks item. Oh, nope. You can destroy that with Charge Beam. That's logically required. Or assumed that you can do that. But yeah, being able to get boosts for Scrapworks before coming would be very nice. But we're not going to do that with the seed. Okay. Now, common trick to make this room faster. You could go through this pathway. Another thing you can do is perform an SSJ up to this platform. Now keep in mind when you're moving to this, I'm not going to do it just for safety, but if you move and this guy is in the tunnel and you touch him, he'll stay in place and it'll actually prevent you from continuing on, and you'll have to reload the room. So just be a little patient with there. Now, this item is a missile, but I do want to share something kind of neat, a very useful trick, is that you can actually just jump from here to here. And it's an intermediate trick, so it's not expected. But if you see something important here and you don't have screw attack and you want to get it now, you can just do it normally, like just like this. But a much faster method, or rather much easier method, is to lock onto this crate and then do the jump. Because you'll get a slope jump off of this thing, and slope jumps only really work when you're locked onto something. So, just do that one more time. There we go. The pretty useful trick, and also pretty easy if you know how to lock onto that. We're gonna pick this up because it's just a missile. It's nothing important. When you're dropping off of that, try and hold diagonally, because if you don't, then you're probably not gonna have enough distance to make it on it. And now we're finally gonna go in here. Now, technically, what this should be is only Spider Ball. Unless for some reason that SSJ is logical, but it couldn't be. We need to make sure we don't soft lock here, because if you come in here with just Spider, or you are getting just Spider in here, then you have to do things in a very particular order. So, are these platforms? Oh. Okay, that is not what I thought it would be. Maybe that getting boost is in beginner, but it really shouldn't be. Maybe I found a logically bugged seed. No, it does expect you to pick up boost ball. Huh. That shouldn't be a thing. Is that really a thing? This is new to me. Hold on. This logic database is also pretty Imperial Hall. This is beginner. What? Hold on a second. Perhaps there's a new trick that I am learning here, but oh my god. Okay. Forget everything I said. So, turns out there's a beginner trick that puts that in logic that I had no clue about. So we're gonna quickly use this cheat menu. This isn't allowed in races, but you can access it by pressing down on the D-pad A, B, and minus together. So I'm just gonna do that to get out of here, because otherwise I have to reset. This game has a lot of things that you may not be prepared for, and a lot of top players will not know the logic for some things. There's always something new to learn with this game. I do think no, I didn't cheat out the plasma good. That would be cheating. But I'm gonna go quickly show it. That's interesting. That's a thing. I never knew about it, but it is a beginner. It is a beginner trick. Drake, did you know about this? Okay, let's try this again. Sure. Okay, so we're gonna go back up here. Okay, so turns out, you can stand on this. And using scan visor to lock onto this thing and just holding back once you get onto it. That's interesting. Also, that's kind of cool, because that's much easier than just doing the SSJ. Although probably what I recommend is, oops, you kind of have to jump just for that. I don't think that should be beginner, but well, Standable's pretty easy. Yeah, you have to, if you don't use scan visor, so the trick in the database has it listed as movement, and if you use scan visor, it's movement beginner, and if you don't, it's movement intermediate. Yeah, I don't know if that should be beginner. Okay. Well, that's apparently a thing, and that's logical. So, if you don't find success with that SSJ, you can do that, and apparently it's logically expected of you. And that's the first time it's ever been relevant for me. all other seeds kind of allowed it to be in logic, or without that. So yeah, it's apparently a thing. Just remember that. I certainly didn't. And now let's go pick up Plasma, because it's when you get Boost Ball, it's probably talking about Scrapworks. So yeah, I had no idea, but it is in the database with video. Documented by Bello Kui Kui. Thank you, Bello. I'm curious if the rubble can be destroyed by Boost Ball. Can be destroyed by bombs. It can. If you don't have bombs or charge beam or missiles, you can do that. The Rando isn't exactly new, but it is. The database is still undercooked. Anyways, as you get faster, you can sky the tunnel, so don't worry about the soft block. Yeah, if you're watching this in a few years, then it could very well be quite different. Okay. You know, if that trick wasn't in logic, then this would have had to be Spider. Alright, we can also open this, but we're not gonna use it yet because this path leads to the X-ray thing. Let's just see what this item is. That's Screw Attack. Now, I really would like to do this trick to get it. I think a lot of beginners should learn it. Like, it's not hard. It's not with any crazy tech. You can get this without Spider. The idea is using Boost Ball to get up here. The trick to it is boosting as soon as you can. When you're falling. And if you boost too early, then you might hit the top, but given that you boosted the right height, you can get through it. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, triggering these pirates only occurs after you've done the X-ray stuff. But if you're just trying to leave after that, you can SSJ out and get on your way. Now, Plasma does like to be placed early. It's pretty normal. And usually what it points to is the other part of Pirate Homeworld Command Center. What trick type is that? I believe that is Movement Intermediate. To get that without Spider. The thing is, though, is that Screw Attack does put Tower available to us, but the thing is that the only reason or I should not say, Ice Brio. Boost and Screw Attack means Ice Brio, and like Ice Brio loves beam progression. The thing is, though, is that the reason I would go there right now is because I'm confident in skipping Spider. The thing is that Screw Attack logically requires Spider, and the check called Tower in Ice Brio, the whole Spider Track puzzle, getting that without Spider is Expert, and I can do it, but not most people can, and I don't really want to play the seed like that. Maybe just with like intermediate tricks. So we're probably going to try and find Spider before we go there. And we're going to start by going to Command Center here. Well, what do you think? So we can also consider going to Thornbrio. Although that's not in... Nah, we want to go here. This is what's in logic right now. There's some methods of getting Reliquary 2, it's called, and the Gateway Ice Check in Brio Reptilicus. But that is not beginner. But what is beginner is getting these few checks here. Now, before you go up immediately to this third level, you want to hit the second level, because you want to peek whatever this item is, because it'll be logically locked by X-Ray and Hypermotor Seekers. Okay, it's an energy cell. That is good to know. Now, you may be a little bit worried about me going into this room with acid rain. The thing is that these pathways here that are sort of grayed out are safe to go through. So you want to just roll through them. It will be logically expected of you. And now we have to go up here. Just a little PSA. If you're ever playing on an SJ preset with these settings, there is a beginner SSJ you can do here to get up here. Obviously, I have space jump, so I wouldn't need to do that, but just in case. Okay, just a missile, so we do not need to take the left path. We can take the right path to the energy cell pickup. X-ray. Okay. Let's see. That lets us actually open the pathway in Pyre Research. So, let's see what this is first, though. That is an energy tank. Now, we can't continue forward to do the other check in Command Center, I think it's called, because we do not have Grapple Lasso. We can't pick up that E-cell just yet. Yeah, X-ray does very much point to Pyre Research. It gives us 2 checks we can do there. We do have to deal with some interesting combat, though. We want to do that. If I could use, I'll probably use Screw Attack. Screw Attack is a pretty useful combat tool, but it is logically expected of you to fight some pirates, even homeworld pirates, with this current loadout that I have. We're gonna go back. I assume what we're gonna find is Spider. And then after that, it'll probably be time to head to Iceberg. By the way, when you scan this, if you this will start moving when you're as soon as you're not morphed. So there are some elevators that require you to be morphed or unmorphed. It can be sometimes partially. I don't know why I'm going this way. Oh, no, I'm supposed to. Some elevators that you should be fully morphed for or unmorphed. Generally, some are fully unmorphed. Some allow you to be morphed. Wait for this guy. Some require you to be unmorphed or partially unmorphed. And, you know, it just kind of depends on the elevator. That one in particular, you just have to be partially unmorphed. Here's the pathway we opened up earlier for X-ray. They are more tedious than difficult. I kind of agree with you, Duck. Alright, time for welding. Ouch. This is the hardest thing, randomizer. No real strategy for this, just hit these as fast as you can. Be quick, but don't be sloppy, don't mess it up, because it'll blow. You can do a single jump to instant morph there, as you're holding back. Spring ball in this game is kind of weird. So here we are going to be triggering these pirates. You can shoot the alarm things, but there's no way to actually avoid the fight. You shoot one and the other one just doesn't work. But by shooting both of those, it does make these pirates spawn sooner, which is what allows you to continue, because they're going to eventually spawn. It's just whether or not you want it to be then, and it'll reposition you. It's triggering it sooner is faster. By the way, you can largely ignore this guy. And yes, we can see that spider ball is there on the wall on the left, you can see. So this guy went invisible, so we're gonna screw attack these guys. Okay, these guys do have shields, but there is a way to do this without having to do it through shields, I believe. If this is logically not required, then we may be expected to go back to whatchamacallit and then that's a screw attack compared to morphing. Not very, and it's kind of risky because of we always have kind of risky because of not being able to cancel it, unlike Metroid Prime 2. You guys are annoying. Maybe you are expected to come back here after hyper mode or grapple lasso to deal with these guys. Which is interesting. Can we boost him? Boost Ball actually does deal a fair bit of damage, but using it's kind of unintuitive. I think it is possible to kill these guys without grapple lasso, but I want to say it's not in logic. I wouldn't be surprised if it was in logic, just because of this fight in particular being pretty young. Because we do have now something in Valhalla available. Maybe we should just let ourselves die to this to reset out. And let's see if it is actually expected by us before I do anything. Okay, where does it start us? Here. Yeah, so that's Corruption has checkpoints in this game that you can take advantage of. Go far away enough and they put their shield. That could be it. But we're not gonna try that, we are gonna go to Valhalla instead. See. I'm trying to see what our requirements are for that. It looks like there might not be any. Alright. It might be logically required, but or maybe I'm reading the database wrong. Alright, so we're back here in Valhalla. We only have the one energy cell. This game doesn't have an auto tracker for console yet, so you do have to be careful with those. And also we have a hint here. Hyper missiles on the pirate homeworld. Okay, that is good to know. Very curious how the E-cell logic works. The settings have it so that they expect you to be able to obtain all of them. And an E-cell can't, like using an E-cell in the wrong spot can't lock you out of other E-cells. So here's an important SSJ to know. This one is trickier than others. An alternative to doing that one is by doing one, I think right here. Which is, this one is in beginner, it's just the beginner one is in a spot that I can't remember. Because there's some collision here that prevents you from doing it as easily. It's right here. I don't know. But the most effective one is to roll here and sort of roll up left. You want to have the morph ball be covered by this part of the collision. Quite good. I am getting quicker on morphs. There we go. I wasn't getting actually instant on morphs. Okay, and there is grapple lasso. It's very useful. and does allow us to rip off those guys' shields. We get here without Screw or Swings. Screw is blocked by Spider. I don't know. Probably because if I looked at the logic correctly, you should be able to do that fight without Grapple Lasso. There's a bit of a logic bug, I think. Would probably be the next thing I fix. So, assuming that that logic is holding up, this is not logically accessible to us yet. We are supposed to do the fight, pick up Spider, and get Grapple Beam. That's annoying. Okay, that's Hazard Shield. We would like to pick that up, but we can't yet because we don't have missiles. We're gonna get this hint. Hyper Grapple's also on the Pirate World. Okay, we do need both of those to finish our game. We also need Hyper Ball, but that does not have a hint yet. Now, the MP3 update... Okay, nice. E-Tank. The MP3 update does allow us to peek some items in specific rooms. This is one of them. By scanning the terminal, you can see what it is. This is partially Quality of Life Edition, because you can technically see it as this elevator is going up. You can also peek it even if you don't have that E-Cell. If I do this, say Energy Cell required. So, yeah. Alright, so we're just gonna leave. Now, assuming that that fight is in logic, because that's basically what I saw in Finch. Grapple Lasso should be logical, but we are going to grab it and then go back for Spider. Yeah, I will probably update the database to fix that fight. I forgot that fight was kind of broken. Let's go back. Let's go to the research facility. That was by Miguel. Miguel does make these MP3 update. Yeah. This is a very unique seed. So I guess there were some things I wasn't prepared for. That's the thing about Corruption Rando, is that with the way the world is and the generator, this randomizer is very unique compared to the Prime 1 and 2 randomizers. There's not a whole lot of stuff that happens consistently. There's generally new things every single time. Pretty awesome. Back here we go. Boost into those guys. I'm not gonna make it to the platform. Make it up to this one using a bomb jump though. It is not traditional to blame Miguel as when there's a bug in this game. But if it's an MP... Oh, the checkpoint makes it so I already did this. Okay. Didn't know that. Will I still end up trigger? No, I don't think I will trigger the pirates. I go through. It's the prime Randy thing to do. A lot of people blame Miguel for prime bugs. Oh, it does still trigger the pirates. Huh. Weird. Weird how that checkpoint works. Also gonna try something by killing this guy, because that disables the alarms. But these guys will still trigger the alarms, but we can prevent that from actually spawning the loot. So we're gonna use our newfound privilege called Grapple Lasso just to attack these guys. Just gonna do this because that'll just burn them to death. There we go. With the new change, this cutscene will be repositioned you. In the vanilla game, you actually have to move closer to this to get that reposition, but you can just do it from anywhere. Why are you a seed? Yeah. It's 9:55. Okay, so we're gonna get this item. Just a missile. That opens up the wall for Spider Ball here. Now we can't quite continue all the way forward. Now you might notice I'm not doing the welding panel on the right. That's because all it does is activate this lift, but that lift can be easily skipped either by using the spider on this wall here, or by doing basic SSJ against this wall. But we can't do anything here just yet, so we're just gonna get it done. And this would allow us to use a screw attack to allow us to pick it up. It's degen hours for you? Oh boy. You want to try and make it to this elevator as quickly as you can, because if this thing triggers, it'll actually prevent you from getting on the elevator. But because I'm already in the elevator, it doesn't matter, although it will look pretty red. Okay. So now it's definitely time to go to Icebria. Because we have all the items we could want to get everything there. No duck did not get patched, asking about missiles breaking ice missile doors in late game areas. Some of those, that's vanilla game behavior for that to happen. And it's really just some doors in Elysia. The Elysia ice missile locks aren't really ice missile locks. By the way, the rando patches in that you can destroy these guys with Boost Ball. It's not very consistent, so you can go for it, but just assume that it might not work. You also only need to break that one ice block. Also, as you come in here, you want to charge a shot and then morph. Keep that as you're coming in. And activate this guy. Then boost here until thing covers. You need it to be either aligned with it or past it for it to get into the right spot. And then boost into the teleporter. You don't need to unmorph. I'm holding my Wii remote away from the sensor bars, so my plasma is centered. I'm going to spam some shots because I want to get some ice out of the way to make it easier to navigate. So jump here. So unmorph as you're approaching that, or else you're going to get stuck in the thing. Okay, so that's just a missile. So I'm actually going to ignore that because it triggers a cutscene and has you move around a whole lot. Now, you can go up this to peek the item up top first, but given the fact that we have Spider Ball and Boost together like this, I'm probably going to assume that this is required, so I'm just going to do the puzzle for safety. Normally I would just not, because I know how to put it without Spider in the BSJ, because you can get into this path to skip using Spider, despite the fact that you are hugging the Spire track. Or the tunnel has a Spire track next to it. It doesn't actually work until you've done earlier parts of the Spire track puzzle. So even if you have Spider, you still have to skip using it. This is the spot you would be able to get into. You would not be able to use the Spire track unless you just did everything I did. And I was actually incorrect. It's a missile expansion. So this check, yeah, so this check is the progression we want. And it looks like a progressive missile, which is not quite what I expected, given we don't even have the missile launcher yet. I have two ways to escape from here. This is definitely the fastest, but if you don't have grapple lasso, you can go down into the space below me and use boost ball to escape instead. I do have grapple lasso, so this path is faster. You are just able to spam B to get up here quickly because there is no screw attack canceling in this game. Do a single jump there against the top of the door as it's opening to get instant morph. Progressive missile does not include the launcher. Launcher is a separate item. The first progressive missile gives you ice missiles, and the second one gives you seeker missiles. Because seeker missiles have ice missile properties. They aren't separate yet. It could be something changed in the future, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay. Can't go that way yet. Alright, so now it's probably a good time to go into Brio Reptilicus. Because of Grapple Lasso and Screw Attack giving us a whole bunch of stuff. By a whole bunch of stuff, I mean like 4 checks. Alright, we are going to Cliffside Air Dock. Now we can also at some point go to Norian with that Grapple Lasso we have. Kind of up to you whether or not you want to do that now or later. Because there's a Ice Missile door check that's early on that you may want to have a launcher for. But in the same vein, there are plenty of launcher and Ice Missile block checks here that you want to have it for. That Ice Missile check in Norian you can actually peek. So it's not as big a deal. You can jump and hold down right to get that instant morph. And while this room is loading, given that you're playing on console, you can lower that. Now we want to have this open immediately to us so we can do an SSJ into this bomb slot. The thing is though is that you want to morph pretty early for it. Because you probably noticed there that I was still moving up even after I morphed. That's because your speed doesn't there we go. So your speed doesn't immediately get killed. This is a pretty useful one. It's the SSJ to get back in logic if you go here without grapple. So there is a SSJ you can do against these blocks here to get up here without grapple lasso, and that is beginner, so you may be expected. So I'm actually gonna go here first, and I want to show a very useful SSJ. But first, I'm gonna peek this. That's an energy cell. So you could do a what I want to say intermediate SSJ here. Just move to the left, and as soon as you get past this, just hold all the way back. And you can get here early. There's also a fast strat for this that uses Roost, where you sort of go here. Like that. It's pretty cool, especially if this is the one check that you need to do. Okay, here's Launcher. That's good. That means we got rewarded for coming here before Norian. And we're also going to get this. Now, a little thing about getting this item is that it wants to drop you back in the bomb slot, but either with boosts, like just boosting across, you can get past it without doing that, or if you roll into it with good enough speed. You can also try and springbolt to get over it, like that. That's really only if you want to go back there, and that's because if you roll into here... Oh, never mind, I avoided it. I wasn't sure if you could avoid that, but it's supposed to play like this little animation of you getting stuck in the bomb slot and you getting dropped out. But it isn't there. Now, we are going to go here, and you may know that there are some hyper mode vines in the way. There's a check that we can get before, just before that doesn't require it. And we are going to do a spring ball off this little lamp thing into this part of the slope here to get up here without having to morph. A little bit tricky, but it is pretty fast and pretty cool. Now I can't get it. That's okay. That's kind of what it looks like. You could decide to peek the item by going here. It's a missile. But to get it, you're expected to like use this statue, but you can use a slope jump by holding into the wall like this to get up here instead. It's faster. Now, I should talk about what logic is in this game, because some people might not know it. And logic is basically what is the inventory and exploits that you're expected to use in order to get items and go through rooms. So this next room will be a good example, because this might be progression. It's not, but I'll still share. So there are trick settings in this game, and the trick settings required will determine how you're supposed to get things. So for instance, with this item, you can get this by doing something called terminal fall abuse, because the game, if you hit a trigger, when you fall all the way down and like have this flash of white and get put somewhere, if I do that just from here, it'll just put me back on the ledge that I was at before. But if I were to somehow hit the trigger that puts you back up there, it'll send me back up there next to the missile. There are two different ways to do this. First of all is using this SSJ, which is intermediate, so it's not going to be expected in a race preset. You roughly want to just like be touching this grapple point, but alternatively, and this is in beginner, if you have a way to cross here, like with grapple swing or screw attack, you can do a slope jump off of this thing, hit it instead. Except I didn't get there. You can also morph, which is apparently a way to make it easier to get. I don't know why, but it does. But that is beginner, and that may be expected for you to do. So keep that in mind. Other thing to keep in mind, by the way, is this map station here, because it does a soft lock if you go in here without grapple lasso, and also either missiles or charge beam. But the preset starts with charge beam, so it should always be fine, just as long as you have grapple lasso. So this does open up the map for us to get, but we don't actually need it for anything. It doesn't do anything, and there's even this little prompt here from MP3 update about doing it. We don't need to do it. We are going to go here. We have ice missiles, so we can continue from the way. However, you can get an item here that doesn't require missiles. That's in the screw attack wall. Important check to remember. Ready to 20 instead of morph. I've tried also peeking this item somehow, but you can't. It's another energy cell. Okay, so we have currently 2 more right now. This room, I have a sort of routine I do every time. But first off, you want to missile this, and you can actually shoot this from around the corner here. And now these guys are going to spawn. Ice missiles are good if you don't have hyper mode. Hyper mode is good if you don't have screw attack. But I have screw attack, so we're just gonna optimally, when you're attacking enemies with screw attack, you want to try and not bonk them, but sort of brush the side of your screw attack next to them, because that'll maximize how much time the screw attack hitbox is out. This guy is being a little elusive. There we go. Okay. Now that this is lowered, we need to complete this puzzle. As I approach this, what I like to do is I like to shoot ice missiles at this geyser of sorts, this falls of build gel, and then move over it, because we have to go through here to destroy a thing. You don't have to lay your bombs right next to it, you can lay it slightly further back. And I like to go through this path. And we want to shoot this either with a charge shot if you don't have Plasma Nova, but if you have Plasma Nova, that's just one shot right there. Same thing with right here. And now we do this to complete the puzzle. Okay. Now, a very important thing is we want to go up here to pick up these items. You can easily get up here using screw attack, but you can also, first of all, destroy this to make it easier. Do a slope jump off of this guy, which I am not very good at, but is possible. there is also a SSJ you can do. You want to aim for this spot because it's the lowest spot. But you can also use an extra bomb here. This is not beginner for the record, because you need quite a bit of height. But using screw attack to get up here is. And if you're wondering how you get this grapple point to lower, it is after you've opened this gate, which requires you to do a whole loop around, so it's a little slow. There's also this check here, which you can get by jumping here and using boost ball. But alternatively, once again, there's another SSJ you can do. And also, again, there's a slope jump here you can do. There we go. Also show off the SSJ. It's pretty self-explanatory, but good to show nonetheless. There we go. Alright, now we're going to move on to these checks. So, we've got one of the golem heads here that you're supposed to lift up with the grapple swing, but we do not have command visor, as it is not a starting item, nor the grapple swing to actually lift it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out the scan visor. I'm going to scan this giant golem head, because we have another item. Okay, we have another item revealed to us, which is the item that's in the tunnel behind this golem head. And we also space jump to see what this item is. That looks like an energy cell. Technically, you only need 3 E cells to finish your game, but that can depend on the seed, because there's the item that requires... Okay, it's actually an energy tank, which is actually better, because we don't have any yet. Yeah, but you're expected to use Ice Missile to get up here. You're gonna have Ice Missile at this point, because of the way logic works, but a nice little fast climb I like to do here is just a very simple SSJ here, because morphing in this direction means you don't have to do any camera manipulation. You just leave the stick in neutral when you spring ball. Very nice. Okay, I'm gonna leave now that we've gotten everything we want from here. E-Tank does mean as soon as we get Hyper Mode, we can actually use it. E-Tanks in this game are pretty important, because they can sort of act as progression too, along with anything else. But we're just gonna roll down now into this tunnel. Into this room called Ruined Shrine, one of the few rooms that shares a name with Kremlin. First thing you want to do, charge shot or missile that and drop down. Pick up this item. Chip missile. Okay, we can't use that because we don't have the launcher. Thank you, Miguel. So after you've lowered this, you're going to use like grapple swing, cross the scat, climb up. So you can actually just jump into this. Pretty easy. Now, for this room, there's a few different ways you can scale quickly. First thing you can do is you can shoot these 2 crystal points to break it down. You're expected to do that, cross this gap, and go up here. What I like to do personally, that's might be a little bit tricky, is shoot both of these real quick. Okay, missed. You can also use missiles. Okay, and then I like to get on this little spot, hold Z, and do an SSJ up here. It's a little bit tricky, because you're on a bit of a small spot. The wall's a little precise, so if you're not comfortable with it, you can just cross the gap. That's also how you can do it without grapple swing or screw attack. That can be destroyed with missiles or with Earth Beam. Yeah, I like the requirements in this game too. So here's this room. So you have to do a fight in this room that's essentially required to do anything. And there are 2 ways to trigger it, and it's by going over here or by going in front of here. Obviously, this is much faster to trigger the fight. You know. And Ice Missiles are good here, but I have Screw Attack, so anything that's Screw Attackable range, I'm going to Screw Attack. There we go. But there are also these guys that I can't remember the names of, that sometimes like to get away from you. And Ice Missiles are a good alternative if you do not have Hyper Mode. Oh, it's a weird bomb. That was a lot of damage. We'll be able to get him with 1 or 2. Okay. It's finally this guy. A little far, but we should be able to get him here. There we go. Okay, so 2 important methods of climbing this room. First off, there's the E-cell all the way up there that you have to do to open up, or not the E-cell, there's the lever there to open up this landing site. And you are expected to open this up and do a whole puzzle. If you don't have Screw Attack, then you have to do that regardless. But I will show how you can skip it. First off, before we even do any of that, we're gonna go to this here, and you are expected to use bombs to destroy it. You can actually use charge beam or a missile. And now that you're out here, what I like to do is approach this, but as I'm approaching it, I want to shoot this with a missile or a charge shot. Typically a missile, because a missile is faster. It's a missile expansion. You can also enter that tunnel as the cutscene is starting. So hold forward here as you're coming out, as you have a ton of speed, and you may end up falling off when you don't want to. Okay, so there's this section here where you're supposed to get on this ledge. Then you're supposed to like open this and do some platforming to get onto here. But you can actually pretty easily just jump to it. Just a little bit precise. You have to be near the edge, but holding the diagonal makes it easier. Obviously, if you have your attack, it becomes a lot easier. Do not do that in vanilla. You will soft lock. What causes you to soft lock? Alright, but an alternative, if you don't lower this, an alternative you can do is do a slope jump here off this thing. It's a bit of a tricky slope jump, but after that you can actually just screw attack all the way with Q. Retro did not make triggers thick enough. Okay, yeah. Those are two options. If you have screw attack, that slope jump method is the fastest, but even if you're not comfortable with it, you have this alternative that you can do without screw attack. Alright. There's a small trick you can do here where you always instant morph. So if you morph at the peak of your height here, you can prevent having to do that. But it's probably faster just to morph as you get here. There we go. Now the landing site is almost open. Entering the morph tunnel after taking out the shell. Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay. I'm glad that Rando fixes that. Alright, make sure, very important, is that if you don't have command especially, that to open this landing site you actually have to lower these again. So make sure you do that before you move on. Because we have plasma, we want to move on this path. How does Rando fix that? I like the soft blocks are bad and annoying. Alright, so there's not a whole lot of stuff we can get, but there is plenty of stuff that we can see how it is. So first things first is we want to activate this column with our plasma. We want to peek what this item is. Now you want to be further back, or else you're going to trigger a cutscene. We can see that's a missile, so we're going to leave that alone. We're also going to look up here. That looks like an important item. Oops. We need to slip down there. We have a nice spot we can recover from. All these reptilicus are hitting out of the way. I'm just gonna take them out real quick. There we go. Another nice little slope jump you can do. Screw attack here. We can confirm what that is. That looks like a hyper item? No, it's a progressive missile. Okay. We need grapple voltage to get that. There's no way to skip it. We also need to get over here. And one thing you can do, obviously, is how it's attended. You can shoot this with ice missiles, open it up, and have these ice breath and frozen. But if you have screw attack, an alternative you can do is SSJ off of it, but the camera's actually going to change here. So I think that's going to prevent us from doing that. But you can do an SSJ off of it, as long as you don't open that slot, and screw attack up here. So. I wonder if the camera trigger disappears here. Yeah, it does. So I can technically show it from here. It also spawns this reptilicus guy. Let's see what this item is. That is ship grapple. Okay, we do want to pick that up. So we're gonna move to the left here. Now we don't have command visor to use it, but we still want to pick it up. There's a cutscene there. You want to try and beat the pill bug, but unlike in Echoes, these guys won't send you flying. Can't send it flying apparently. So here's the gate I was talking about earlier. As you can see, I'm gonna lower this grapple swing point. That's how you're expected to get across the vanilla. So, we didn't find anything particularly important. Space jump being there is pretty rough to go. We did get an E-tank that allows us to use hyper mode when we hopefully eventually find it. And we do have ship grapple that we can use once we get command. Note if you don't have grapple swing or screw attack and you're expected to cross here, to do that slope jump to reposition you, and then jump off it to this platform. It is logical and beginner. That's all we can do in Brio for now, at least in this part of Brio. Also note, if you open the map, we get this fight here that triggers Alpha Hoppers. I don't know if that's still if that's a thing still in Rando when you get the map. But the thing. I don't know if I did that right. Oh, I did. You can sort of tickle the side of this here and then fall down and it'll reposition you in front of the ship here. I tried getting the map. I have tried getting the map. I shared it with the stream, what it looks like. Okay, so we have two options here. First off, I want to go to Thorn Jungle Brio here. This actually gives us only one check, but Missile Launcher loves to have progression placed there. Because all you need is launcher for it. So we are going to check it out first. Not really necessary, and I don't think I would normally do it, but I do want to check that is like. Do note though, if you don't have hyper mode or like screw attack or anything, or health, you have to deal with these hyper mode guys, which can actually melt your health. You can try to kill them, but it's a little bit annoying. Screw attack here is not very good. So generally, if you want to play it safe, you can try and play Halo on them and do this. They also eventually exit hyper mode, it just takes a while. But if you're good enough, you can just ignore them, even with no E-tanks. Okay, this is another E-tank. Nice little refill. Yeah, not progression this time. And I didn't think it would be because it looks like we might be getting command soon with that ship grapple. Now it's definitely time to go back to Norgan. We do have more of Fire Brio available to us, but we can clear most of Norian through the most important checks. And Corruption does like to spread out its majors across all the worlds pretty often. You're not going to really find that many that are really loaded. The only thing that typically occurs is that Alicia will have in-game items, but that depends on how Hyperball is placed. You can Spring Ball up there and unmorph with the instant morph, which will let you hit this sooner. Another SSJ you can do here. That one's a little bit trickier. Okay, we're gonna open this up. There's another peak here, and I like to check this as I'm moving. But that's Nova Beam. We're gonna pick that up as we it's here. I am able to weld. There we go. Okay, yep, there's Command Visor. Alright, Norian being very loaded all of a sudden. Okay. Now Nova Beam doesn't do us anything off. Actually, you know what? I might bother with the. Okay, so here's how we're gonna route this actually. So we are gonna pick this up first. Right, I need to actually interact with this to open it up. Try and morph before the cutscene here. By the way, I'm pretty sure Boost Ball cannot destroy these fans in vanilla, but they can in Rando. Keep that in mind. There's custom green color cosmetics. You can get green plasma vanilla, because this doesn't last very long. Okay. So now we're gonna do this ice missile check. So here's a well-known way to peek the item though, is approach this door, you can't shoot it, but if you walk roughly here, and then move back and shoot the top of the door, it'll actually show you what it is. Has to do with more triggers, something something. I don't know. With room loads. They can spear and break them with boost. I have no idea. Apparently that's a thing of vanilla. Thank you, Miguel. That was a missile. So I'm actually gonna press on here. There's a check that's a little far that uses Spider Ball, the landing site, and I normally wouldn't get it, but because I have Command Visor, it lets us summon our ship to land there, which allows us to avoid having to do the very long backtrack. Now I like summoning it first because I want to get into the spot to peek this item. I might have fallen off. Yes, I did. But you can pretty easily peek the item. Oh, this is the wrong side. Over here. You can pretty easily peek the item by jump over here. That looks like another E-Tech. You can also grab the scan point. Just make sure you are in the right spot or else the scan point will break. But I'm 90% sure it's an E-Tech. So I am going to go get that because I like to. Yep. Okay. Alright. So, Nova Beam doesn't quite get us much yet. I don't think. Can get... No, we don't have... So, we have one check in Pirate Command here. We have one more check here in the research facility. Actually, two more checks. We can get ship missiles right now. And two more checks in Fire Burrito. We can technically use more E-cells to do stuff in Valhalla. What is the minimum for Go mode? Minimum for Go mode is X-ray visor, grapple voltage, Nova Beam, at least 3 energy cells if you're not trying to do out of bounds, because you can technically out of bounds skip an E-cell and do 2 instead, but you're probably not going to need to do that. Space jump, probably, maybe. Screw attack, typically you're going to need, but not technically. There is a 90% no screw attack. And maybe you need bombs. It really depends, but 3 energy cells, screw attack, grapple voltage, X-ray, and the hyper items, at least for rando, is what your go mode's going to be. So yeah. But now is the question of how you want to route this, and you can kind of do it any way, but what I like to think about is what most recently came into logic, which was Nova Beam and Command Visor. Now Command Visor is not very meaningful, but what I am going to do is ship missiles first, because we had that check available to us for a while. We just weren't able to pick up the ship missile item because we actually need the ship to land there in order to get it. So we're just going to get that out of the way, because I like doing that. Let's see what it is. It's just a missile. Okay. Now another thing is we can get Hazard Shield. Hazard Shield isn't a very useful item, but it does allow us some other things. But I would like to come back there when I get grapple voltage so we can get the pirate code. So let's think here. Let's go and do the research facility, because Nova Beam X-rays for attack points towards one item we can get. There's a second one here. So we got. We need to also remember that our 2 hyper items are on the homeworld, and hyper missiles does unlock a check. Exactly 1 check here in Pirate Humble, which is Metroid Crash. Does a Metroid Hatcher fight? Why is my Mii's hairline receding? I don't know, you can ask younger me who made it. Now, because we are going here, we just take the north path. Just gonna destroy these just because it's nice. Now, fun fact about this is you can actually shoot it without X-ray. But if I also had hyper mode, you can actually shoot these with charged hyper mode, which is expected in beginner logic. I'm just gonna do this without X-ray. You are expected to use X-ray, I believe. Okay, so here's ship missiles. So I made the right call by running here. By the way, if you have hyper mode, using charged hyper mode destroys us immediately, so it's faster. So, ship missiles points us towards Thornbrio, which is a pretty common spot for corruption. But before we go there, we are going to see what this item is. It is a missile. Okay. So now we dip. Something to note, though. Actually, never mind. I was going to be like, we don't have ship missiles to do a thing, but we do. Would that be invisible objects? So I was just thinking about that, is that I don't think using hyper mode to destroy those is invisible objects, but I do think using Nova is invisible objects, which kind of seems like a weird thing. I can double check the database though. What's this room called? This processing access. Okay, let me look at it while I'm in the ship. We are gonna go to Arnbrio for sure, because we can do everything there. Okay, so, using charged hyper mode is an intermediate knowledge trick with no invisible objects. And using Nova is invisible objects and or X-ray. By the way, you can technically peek what this item is from here, I think. But this intel doesn't help you very much. The ship missile. Ship missile expansions aren't very useful. In this, there's only like a couple of rooms where you have to use a lot of them. This off first. And here we're coming up against the Korak, which is a very unique boss, because it's got a lot of vulnerabilities to a lot of different items. There's a fun way of destroying these guys. So first off, Screw Attack can just be used to knock him out when he has his mouth open. Oh, this is weird. Oh my god, that dealt so much damage. Okay, there we go. You can use ship missiles? Oh my god, I never knew you could shoot ship missiles here. Well, look at that. Mr. Miguel teaching us new things. So yeah, that's another thing you can use against Korak. Hyper Mode obviously is very useful against Korak. Use Hyper Ball to not have to knock him out. You added that? Huh. That's cool. Yeah, in the rando you can do that apparently. Alright, make sure to do that and open up this item as you're doing it. Put it up. And now we need to approach this door to open up the other paths. Now you're expected to take the right side, but the left side is much faster. So we're gonna just go this way instead. So you see a missile here. So we want to do an SSJ to get up here. And if you remember in the vanilla game, there are 2 turrets that we have to destroy to open up the seed. But we only have to destroy 1. First off, I want to show you're expected to have done some like a layer change to have fuel cells sort of pass by here and destroy this thing that's keeping the bridge up. But something you can actually do is perform an SSJ over it. Do this instead. Not a layer change to trigger near the door. Ah, okay. So then you technically should be able to do it without doing that. That is a faster alternative, and also I guess doesn't require turn. So let's see. Go near the port. Oh, that pirate just materializes. I don't see him. But yeah, you can do this very nice SSJ over here. Make sure you are to the sides here. Not super precise, it's pretty lenient. There it is. Okay, yeah. It just took a bit. Alright, but yeah, we are going to now instead just move here from the back. Now, you have to be very cautious with this because there's a soft lock risk from doing this. That doesn't work. Now, you want to be careful when doing this. This is how you're supposed to destroy them, and you're supposed to avoid these jetpack troopers. But given that you are. Did I do the wrong one? If you don't do the right one, then they will try and lower these. Or one of them will. But given that I picked the wrong one, only one of them are going to do it. So you should be fine as long as you get all these down. Then you're at no risk of anything. So make sure there are 3 of these, and you have to destroy 2 of them. And you have to be very careful not to destroy the 3rd one. You have to hit this trigger first before you do that. Or else you will soft lock. So we're going to destroy this 3rd one now, and we're good. Now we only destroyed 1 turret, but the game treats it as if you destroyed both if you just destroyed the first one. We are still going to go through in reverse because we have an item that's halfway through both sections. Look at what it is. It is a missile. So we're just gonna move on a little bit back. Okay, so this room you have to do something a little bit unique. You can't use ship missiles right now. So what you have to do to let it do that is move away so that this door closes. Okay. That's apparently a thing. Anyways, you're supposed to move away so that the door closes in the other room, and then... It's not true as you destroyed both, but there's an oversight and jungle generator with like a second turret. So it sounds like it treats it as if you destroyed both. But yeah, you can... That is how you do that. And now we just make our way back. Now this does open up the seed to Moganar. Moganar is pretty... It's not likely to be progression, obviously. None of the seed bosses are, but it's still a risk. And I don't have Hyper Mode yet, which is technically all you need to fight him, but you also need Hyper Ball to get out. So unless he's vanilla, you're gonna need Hyper Ball going into it. Okay. Turns out Thornbrio did not have anything good. It's kind of surprising. So, instead, let's think about this. Let's go to Firebrio. That boss is a cooler version of Thardus. I think it's just a better boss, but sure. That also works. So, there's an important thing to know about Firebrio here and routing it. So you'll notice that there's a layer change now because we have Jolly Roger drones and we're gonna have pirates here. And this is actually relevant for logic because the path you're expected to take through here is has phase-on vines in the way, and we don't have hyper mode. But there is a layer change that happens after you've opened up the hangar bay for ship missiles. After you open up the hangar and the landing site is accessible, it changes the layer of multiple rooms here, including that one room with the phase-on vines. And those phase-on vines will actually disappear, which allows you to get through here without hyper mode indicator. However, we don't want to take that path because it's pretty slow. And we have two different ways to skip it because there are no items on that path, so it's easier to just do this. So, first off, you can SSJ here to get up here. I'm not very good at it, to be honest, because size angle. An alternative you can do is sort of ride up the wall. If you jump and at the peak of your height hold into it, you'll notice how you get stuck here. But you'll actually continue to rise if you scan and let go of it over and over again. I can't remember how fast you're supposed to do it, but if you spam this, you will slowly rise up. There we go. And you'll get up here. This is another way for you to get that missile in Imperial Hall. But yeah, so you can screw attack up to this. The problem is that you sort of bonk on this, and like the thing with slopes is that it'll prevent you from going up a lot of them and retaining your jump, because it's how this game works. So an alternative you can do is almost like storing your screw attack. There's a weird exploit where if you space jump low to the ground here, maybe it's something to do with the Z-axis, it'll let you screw attack out of the slope jump. So I'm going to space jump low to the ground here. I'm going to go up this slope and quite the slope jump. Okay, I didn't quite get it there. Let's try that again. There's also an alternative to this method that I prefer to do, but it is arguably harder. There we go. There we go. Okay, you do have to be a little precise with your screw attacks to get on here, just to make sure you get the peak of your height. But that is a way you can skip that. An alternative is to use a BSJ here. So this is a little bit trickier because you have to do a double BSJ, and this logic only expects you to do single spring bomb jumps. I didn't quite get it there. You can also do this without screw attack, albeit it is much tighter. Again, let me activate screw attack there. because I hugged the collision a little too closely. No? There we go. So that is an alternative that I prefer, personally, that you can do. They're both intermediate tricks, so they're not logically expected, but they're also not too bad. So I don't have grapple swing to get across here, but if you were to somehow get this without screw attack, you could use grapple swing to get across here. If you don't though, then you can't get across. I do have screw attack, so I'm going to go over here. So this stuff is in logic, but not through the way that I just did. So the way I like to do this is I like to have an ice missile fired here, so I can land the item, but then I want to turn around and activate this thing to lower this other item. You can also peek this item, but generally I just like to see what it is to get it. I put them on missiles. Okay. Nothing good there. Let's go to a save station here. I don't really need it. We're not going to take it. Okay. Here you can just boost through these. You don't need to really worry about the geysers blocking your way very much, because you can kind of go through them if you have the right speed and angle. This guy's going to try and throw a phase on grenade at us, but we don't actually have hyper mode, so... So now we have this room. I don't have hyper mode, but regardless if you have hyper mode or not, you want to try and shoot the ship as it's coming down. This one has like pirates that come out of it, I believe, and when they do that, it'll make this fight much longer. But if you destroy both of them instantly, then the fight will be much shorter. Also about to fight Rundus. You want to just move as close as you can to him, like immediately, to trigger the fight. Now, the strat to this guy is mainly just taking advantage of the fact that you can manipulate him to constantly melee you. It would be a lot faster if we had hyper mode, but instead we need to just keep firing. As you can see, I'm just getting close to him and then moving away as he starts his animation so he doesn't hit me. He realizes this fight. But eventually, after you deal enough damage, he will go back from his ice armor. You can also use screw attack, although I don't believe screw attack is that good against him. And also, if he does his melee against you when you have screw attack out, he will send you flying. And I think sometimes he can even send you out of bounds. And now that we weren't doing the melee manip, he's going to do more of his basic attacks. This doesn't happen if you just manip his melee, but what is that attack? I will try screw attack a little bit though, because I actually, maybe there's like a, it does do a lot of damage I don't know about. That doesn't seem to. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to the good old melee maps. There we go. He is an energy cell. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna see if I get punished by leaving Hazard Shield alone. What is that? A missile? E-tank? An E-tank, okay. Now just for safety, I am gonna go down here and open up the shield blocking the Burrito Seed. There's no like items past here, all it is using ship missiles to do this. You wanna try and make sure you get hit by all those guys to open this gate up. So I think if I'm not crazy, I think the rando changes it so that it's easier to hit all of them. You also need to use ice missiles like screw attack. You can just run into the drones. You don't have to bother with shooting them. The rando does not change it. Okay, cool. And I'm just bad when I do it at 80%. So I'm gonna get this call, which you can just ignore.
The seed is now exposed. You must fly there and find a way to destroy it.
We are not going to do that. But thank you for warning it. Okay, now we are going to take this shortcut. And fun fact about the shortcut, you don't actually need Ice Missile to get through it, I believe. So the one way that I know about for sure is you can actually use Screw Attack, and it has some weird properties with getting through. Although I have, by accident, multiple times gotten through here by using Boost Ball, and I don't know how. I have no idea how I did it. But sometimes do that by accident. But yeah, generally, just, you know, use Ice Missiles. Now, fun fact about this shortcut, it's usually a one-way in vanilla, but the Rando with MP3 update does allow it to be two-way. So if you're ever backtracking here, you have that shortcut accessible to you. So those checks were all dead too. Having it on the logbook would be useful. I don't know what it would be useful for, but maybe. Alright, so we've done mostly everything we can in Barrio, so we're going to move on probably to Pirate Homeworld because we have some stuff we can do. One check we can do in Command Center. We don't grapple voltage to whatchamacallit. Am I crazy, or did I see the other progressive missile and I forgot where it was? I feel like I remember seeing one. Yes, that was locked by grapple voltage in Rio. Right. Sometimes it's kind of hard to remember all the items that you want. Sometimes it can benefit to write them down. Have some notes next to you and write down where things are in downtime. Let's see, this may be a last location of progression because I'm not sure. We can get one other check in Valhalla, but that's about it. Also, you are expected to use either grapple voltage or go down through the lower puzzle to get this item. I'll wait for this guy to demonstrate this. But you can actually just instant morph onto the fire track. A little tricky. I think doing this does make it easier. There we go. But you can do that as an alternative. I also completely forgot you can trigger pirate alarm here. It's not important, just ignore it. Nosy. Here's our one check available to us here. And it is important, but it's hyper grapple. It isn't exactly that important. Hyper grapple is required for us to finish our game, but there's only two locations that use it. One is in this room, and the other is in phase. So we can't pick up this item yet. Let's see what it is. It's an energy cell. Okay. We're gonna need either Seekers or we can use charged hyper mode to destroy these locks. Okay. And if you're fast enough, you can shoot this pillar or this phase on thing immediately. I think it's too late. And it'll destroy it, but if you're even a little bit too late, then it's not gonna work. I'll also just open this up now for fun. So you do need X-ray in order to do this. These triggers won't actually work if you don't have it. So there's another E cell. Instead of all the E cells we possibly want. I guess it's time for us to go to Valhalla. There's an example of how Spring Ball can be used to break the camera when combining with Boost Ball, especially. Let's move on to Valhalla. If it's grapple voltage, then that would be quite convenient because we can get the pirate code from there. We can't use it to finish the game, uh, but it is going to be useful for later. By the way I'm getting these instant morphs off the ship is just to hold backwards on the stick and then morph as soon as you can. Basically, moving backwards into any wall and morphing will generally give you an instant morph. Ringo is going alright. By the way, I neglected to mention this earlier, but this fast climb that I'm doing is not too bad. You just want to make sure you time your space jumps correctly and not morph too early there, or else you're gonna get bad. I also didn't mention, but this glass here is destroyable with missiles, charge, bombs, and boost, I think. We're gonna get this hazard shield. It doesn't actually do anything for us just yet, but it will be possibly useful later, including for getting its mill item. This will summon Metroid hoppers, though. We can't ignore them, so fighting them is also really slow, unless you use screw attack or hyper mode. You can't hit them as you're going down. Okay, well. This also gives you the fully corrupted PED suit hazard shield model. If you're wondering why this changed. It will indeed be useful for upgrading our trip. But I might consider on the way out getting the E-tank that's in this room. 3 E-tanks is a good amount, especially because you don't have to do face wall crawl. But later on, hyper mode would be. We're gonna be using hyper mode a lot, so it would be cool if it gave you 50%. Some people think it looks better. So here's our one check we can get here, and it's another E-cell, which is not what I expected. So we can't move on to get the voltage. We can't also, by the way, we need seekers for this, but the item itself, you can see what it is without committing to using the 2 energy cells that are required for it. So keep that in mind. So let's get this E-tank. I've never been able to beat this platform before. I've seen it done in a task, but I think the task does that. But it requires some pretty precise movement. Okay, let's think about what else we can do. So Norian is cleared. Pirate Command. That's cleared. We can't do anything there. We have Moganar, which could be vanilla Hyper Ball. Although we don't have Hyper Mode to actually beat him, so that can't be it. We don't have Steers. We don't have a way into Tia. Let's think. Perhaps something in Rio? Yes. We do actually have one check in Rio we can do because of ship grapple. And that's past the Mokonar head is the double pathway, which we should be able to do even if we haven't connected both Oh, I guess because of ship grapple, we can also do the. Oh, yeah, that check out those. Okay, this is a pretty rare. Um, it's required check, but can happen. So with that ship grapple and command visor we have, we can get this Mogadar? No, Colossus Golem head to begin with. That's did a link get censored in the chat? Drake is able to send it. Use a mod, but. Alright, so we're gonna lift this head and we're gonna go immediately back. And let's hope that the one check that's required is the connecting bridge to attack wall, or else we're gonna have to do a much longer part of it. Did not get censored. That's probably just a Twitch mobile thing. Okay. I'm gonna say hello to Seekers once again. Okay, I was just trying to see if I could still pull that off. I was just messing around trying to replicate a strat. Any more logic bugs where you're going? I think it's just the pirate fight that can expect you to fight them without lasso or hyper mode when trickless. Alright, so now that we've opened that, we have access to this path. And oh boy, it's just an E-Tech. Okay, so we have another check available to us, but it's real slow and hard. First off, we can get this check using these screw attack walls. Albeit, we need to wait for them to actually connect. So I'm gonna have to do something goofy looking. So you just barely land on that. So we have one more check left, and it involves another use of ship grapple in Thornbrio. And in hindsight, I should have thought of this after I got ship grapple, but I kind of just forgot about it when the ship still showed up. Also, since we used ship grapple, we are going to have to summon the ship again. Also morph just immediately after summoning the ship. Okay, we're about to see how Thornbrio and Reptilicus Brio connect together. Although Thornbrio is just an extension of Reptilicus. I forget that it lags there sometimes when you instant morph. The game just kind of freezes. Back here. And we're gonna once again take our left path here. Need to go pick up an item that in vanilla is energy cell. Please get the instant one. There we go. So this big battery thing, we need to pick up. We're going to take this path. Will lead us back to this connecting bridge. This is assuming that Moganar is not vanilla, because Moganar could just be vanilla and these checks don't matter. But with that ship grapple coming in, it's pretty likely that it does. I didn't take the right path. Well. Okay, now we have to the battery here. I don't know what a spot is for it, but I think just as long as you're relatively high. There we go. Now, it's a place, and we want to probably, if you have screw attack, again, in this spot like this. Pick this up. Let's do it. It is grapple voltage. Okay, so that was required in this. Alright, that is a... actually, we need to go back for screws. So yeah, that is required, and that is a pretty rare check to be required, just with how much you need in order for it to be available. Pretty bad spot for that. Got a question, Drake saying, how would you rate the importance of screw in this game? Echoes and CGC is considered wise to prioritize it. Well, screw attack and corruption is like just a little bit less important. But it's still pretty important, and part of it is because you can skip a lot of the movement based screw attack requirements in PGC and Echoes, excuse me, I should say. But in Corruption, you have to... There's a lot of gaps that can only be crossed with screw attack, and you can't skip them with something like extended dashing. This was... Wow. This was really convenient for combat. You are being annoying. 100 kills. Anyways, this is how we do the spire track. You can let go as you're approaching the top of it to conserve momentum. Also helps to be patient, especially with this last part. Actually, I'm gonna show the fast strat for this. That skips having to do most of the puzzle. Okay, well that was interesting. I only got one jump out of that and still in the activate screw. Now if you are more comfortable with movement in this game, you can do this. It's not very fast when you're just doing it in isolation because you're already right next to this puzzle. But you can do a boost SSJ with that. You can also do it without boost, but you kind of need boost to do this puzzle, so not as useful. They're Seekers. Now, Seekers are pretty interesting right now because they don't unlock a ton. What's more important is the fact that we have voltage. Seekers are the most recent thing to come into Logic. So we have one thing in Norian that Seekers unlocks, but it's a pretty committal check. We have also... What else? We have more pirate research. I think this is going to be the first thing we're going to do. Especially because Hazard Shield might be putting more research in the logic. Because we have Gandreda, the fight. And we also have the Hazard Shield check and the tunnel check that also requires you to pick up the Hazard Shield item. But we are going to ride it from the back. Very easily do. Does mean we are guaranteed probably gonna have to fight Gandreda. Don't want to. I believe you can activate the elevator and ignore her, but I can't remember if she gets deleted, and if she does get deleted, that's a problem. Plus, we want to do the check anyways because hyper missiles are here, and we're still missing progression like hyper mode and hyper ball. Now, the Gandreda fight can be done very quickly. Mr. Gill, I was saying, like, I wasn't sure if the Gandreda gets deleted if you leave the fight after triggering it. Yeah, as the room loads, Gandreda's health bar is going to appear. You just want to make sure the door has been fired. Now, this fight can be done very slowly or very quickly. Boost Ball and Hyper Mode both deal... Boost Ball and Screw Attack both deal a lot of damage, but you did not do the animation I wanted. And you can skip a lot of phases if you do it right. Nice, that was good. It requires a lot of practice on your own to figure it out. How's that? Not great. Again, want to rub against the side of her with Screw Attack to optimize damage. Same thing with Boost Ball. She is moving around so much. This fight can be tricky. That looks better. Yep, there we go. Okay. We kind of fight you want to practice in isolation. It's impossible to be able to explain everything we need to. After you're done with that fight, you can get this grapple voltage point from anywhere, and it saves some time to overlap these cutscenes here, because the elevator will appear and you can trigger it while a cutscene is happening, and you can briefly see two Samuses. Okay, what is this? That is a pager. I think it's hyper mode. So we are required to get it. I wasn't sure what vanilla hazard shield is, but it doesn't even matter. I think it's another energy cell. Okay, my trick for this, use the right one, and you're gonna have to use these air vents. Go. You can always start with the right one if you can't remember the combination, because the right one will be the most important. It'll show you which one it connects to. Now we go back down. Go. Samuses or Sami? Samuses. Hyper mode does let us do a lot of stuff, but we don't have hyper missiles, and we need to remember that. And they could be probably in pirate mines, but they could also be in places like effectively, which is a whole other can of worms. Try and destroy the weapon here. Save us some hassle. Now let's probably go back. We don't have anything else we can do. Higher research. Nothing else important, at least. You can point the Wii remote away from the sensor bar there to have your beam be centered. Easily hit the Push controls. Alright, so let's think about what Hypermoon unlocks. We've got the checks behind the vines in Mario. We can also get the pirate code now whenever we want, but we can't actually finish. Or at least we're not allowed to finish. Technically speaking, we would be in Go mode right now if phase wall crawl was allowed in races, but recently it was banned. But you can technically skip both Hyper Missiles and Hyper Ball with what I have right now. I have everything for the pirate code and to return it. I would just need to be able to do it. Like when you enter phase, you can do a boost SSJ, you can do an out of bounds, but it's currently not allowed. So we're gonna try and find Hyper Missiles and Hyper Ball. Hyper Missiles we know are in the pirate homeworld, so we're gonna start there. Yeah. Can you do a demonstration of how to do phase wall crawl for science? I can do it after I get the hyper items. But just know it wouldn't be allowed in a race, even if you had the hyper items. We're gonna get this check first. E-tank, we'll pick it up because we might as well. Make sure to stay in there for a little bit longer to make sure this elevator lowers as fast as you can. Running it now. Too bad. Alright, so now we're gonna enter Pirate Mines, which we need Voltage and Spider for, but we can also do it. We also logically need Hazard Shield, but you can do it without it, and I'll show you how. So, first, here's the grapple point. Actually, let's kill these guys first. I think this is gonna show. There we go. Okay, so you can tell when I'm in the hazard rain by like the effect on the beam cannon, but in this spot right here, you are actually not in the hazard rain. So you can pretty easily skip hazard shield that way. The trickier part comes in Skyway access. Is the room right after this one that I'm entering. This room right here. And the thing is that the acid rain is in most of the room, and you need to hit a trigger that's in front of you. So what I recommend doing, particularly if you have boost ball, is hitting it and then immediately moving back. And during these cutscenes, you want to hold back instantly so you're away from the acid rain, and then just fighting. You could use Screw Attack, X-Ray, or Hypermon on those guys, but X-Ray Nova is the fastest. Speaking of fast, using Seekers for these guys, or Charged Hypermon is also good. There we go. Just keep holding back against that wall and you should be able to skip Hazard Shield. Now it's time for Pirate Mines. We do enter a cutscene here, but we are actionable, so don't try and skip it. Just play the game while the cutscene is happening. So I tried to do a fast strat by boosting there, but I ended up boosting in a bad direction. It helps to be patient. So routing Pirate Mines is pretty interesting, and part of it revolves around an out-of-bounds called Nova Crawl, or just Nova Beam Crawl. And it's an out-of-bounds section that lets you skip doing the fight for the Nova Beam item. In this case, the Nova Beam item might not be what we want, and also it's pretty tricky. I will show a method on how to get out of bounds, but I'm not going to do anything more than that. So first off, we're going to hit this Pirate Fight trigger. You can roll into it, but you don't have to move very far to hit it. And what I want to do is I want to destroy these alarms. One there and one there. And then we're going to take these guys out. Start with this guy and then this guy. And now we get to use this tool. Now, no matter what we do, we have to destroy the right one, both to get this item, to go out of bounds, and if we want to skip just using the half pipe. So it's just an E-tank, but we will pick it up. So something you can do to skip having to go through that cutscene of using the half pipe is do a BSJ here. Ooh, and get hit by the second bomb. You want to stand pretty close to the edge, but not that close to the edge, so that you don't fall, but that it lets you just J without any problems. There we go. Now we're here. And I can just continue on, but the out of bounds is using another BSJ on the slope near the top of it here, because this is roughly here is where you're going to get the most height in this corner here. We can't do it exactly in the corner. So it revolves around doing a BSJ here, and then I would have gotten out of bounds there if I moved to the right, but I'm not going to. And you can look at that out of bounds in your own practice and maybe decide to implement it. But the path to it inbounds is also pretty fast. I need to be careful about what your inventory is before you do it, because not doing this puzzle and going into it without like X-ray visor means you can very easily soft walk if you don't know what you're doing. This room is a little awkward to get through quickly, but generally, if you have screw tack, which hopefully you should if you're here, you can sort of beat the robot. You don't have to worry too much about it. This room is a little tricky. You want to make sure you kill these Jolly Roger drones before you get up to these platforms, because they will, when they hit you, they kill your speed, and that will cause you to fall. So here we can see what the item is. It's just a missile, so the no-beam problem isn't really necessary. We can unlock a landing site, but it's not exactly going to be useful to us. So we're going to see what this is. It's a missile, and we're going to go back. So here's the pathway to the back, and we're going to have another decel item. We're gonna boost here to get the Instinamorph and then immediately shoot this. We didn't get it quite quickly enough, but I wasn't sure if you could do it without X-ray. Maybe you can, and I just messed it up, but make sure to go to the left side. Hyper missiles? Hyper missiles. Okay. We don't have to do a Mega Ridley, probably. Now we just need a Hyper Wall. Which means that this seed is going to be a Dead Alicia seed, which is not uncommon. The first thing I want to do, I think, is go get the pirate code, because we have one check we can get in Valhalla, and we are required to get the pirate code. So we might as well combine those, because if Hyperwall is right there, then that means we're done. Alright. The record, that map station I just passed by is never useful. Don't use it. Okay. To Valhalla we go. Also, while we're doing that, think about all the checks we have left. We have Mokinar and Brio, but everything else in Brio is done, except we have 3 more checks past the Hypermode Vines in Reptilicus that we should consider. And we also have call it. We have a Metroid Creation Pirate Research. Right. Can lock on to you for all movement, I guess. Makes us a little bit faster, easier. So we don't actually have any checks. We also have one more in Norian, plus this check here in Valhalla. Could be Hyperball. By the way, if you're ever playing vanilla and you're about to do like a pick up an E-cell, putting in an E-cell, or interacting with something, try and be as aligned with, like, as in front of it as you can be. That's another E-cell. We don't do that, or else you're gonna spend longer trying to get it. But Rando has a thing that doesn't do that anymore, so makes it so that's the fastest every time. Here's part of why Nova Beam is required for real mode. You do have a Nova Beam door in the way. Alright, so now we're gonna do skipping these 2 E-cells. So these E-cells, we have to shoot a charge shot at the thing up here, and put these 2 E-cells in and find a Metroid Hatcher. You can actually skip all of that. So you have this bridge, you can go up here, this bridge, and then just like screw attack or jump onto this. But alternatively, as you're coming in, you can just do an SSJ off the door, screw attack onto it. And for the record, you need screw attack to do this. And now there are 2 options. We need to hit a terminal fall trigger here, so that when we fall into this abyss, it puts us up here. And there are 2 different ways we can do that. First of all, what we can do is a slope jump. You want to sort of bonk on the bridge here. Put us up here. There we go. We do have one more option of what you can do if you don't like that slope jump, and that's doing a SSJ. Camera. Whichever you prefer. This is a very important trick for races. It's not a beginner trick, so it's not expected, especially because skipping E-cells is not expected. But is very useful and very important. And here's why grapple voltage and X-ray are both required. There's our pirate code. Need that to access phase. I missed the door. As you're coming down here, you can roll to the left, drop, and roll to the right. You can also go and return the pirate code right now if we wanted. Albeit, we probably don't want to. We're like, find Hyperball first, so you can just head directly to phase. And also, in the rare instance if Mega Relay is required, we'd like to do both of those on the same trip. But the only way you'd realistically find out that Omega Ridley is Hyperball is if you've done everything else already. gonna start with Rio and those Hypervine checks, because they're the easiest checks to get. Excuse me. I am not gonna blind check Omega Ridley. Thank you, maybe. That's right here. Can I do it? Pretend gifted. Probably. This does seem like a C for grapple swing has been deleted. And just using screw attack for all the other places that require it. There is a fight trigger that we're going to try to avoid here. I don't really know how to avoid it, I just kind of do it. Their E-Tank. Feeling very healthy. Okay, you successfully avoid it. You would have had to fight 2 of the Reptilian guys. Okay, I like to bomb that on the way down. If it's required, it's not, it's an E-Tank. Let's see what this is. A ship missile. Okay, so this is dead. Maybe we should have let that pivot save at the ship. Could have, what should we call it? I don't think I can skip it by doing this. We're gonna try. Yeah, no. We don't have to fight these guys on the way back. We can do a SSJ to escape out of here quickly. The second one is a little harder. You need to make sure you time your unwarp later to make it up. If you're not very comfortable with it, you can try doing a double bomb SSJ. So that's Brio almost full cleared, minus, you know, Loganar. So what we're probably going to do next is go to the Norian check. Oh. Okay. Not gonna forget about Metroid Crash. I might try and do, well, Metroid Crash. We'll do Orion, but we'll remember to leave a pivot save. And if you're not familiar with the concept of pivot saving, it's just having a save point available to you to reset to if you go and do something and want to back out of it. Like if I go and do this other check in Norian and it ends up being dead, I can reset to my last save, which is faster than walking back. On hindsight, I should have saved as I entered the ship in Rio. Okay. This other segment of Norian is not frequently gone to. It leads to an energy cell. Long. You can mostly ignore these enemies. Go past them. They deal very little damage. So here we have a whole bunch of Metroid hoppers. We can use ship missiles in combination with using hyper mode to take them out. I like to, every time ship missiles are done, fire more and then hyper mode. Or these guys will also drop you ship missiles as you're using them. So. Missiles just kill everything that's currently spawned, so pretty handy. Here we go. Here's another secret requirement. Make sure to go to the left here. And now we've got a Metroid Hatcher fight. Very difficult fight. Alternatively, if you don't have X-Ray Nova, you can use Seekers to destroy the tentacles, or you can use Charged Hyper Mode. And that's basically all the strategy there is to the fight. In fact, where was the secret though? It's a missile expansion, so we are going to immediately reset out of that. There is the landing site we can go back to, but I don't feel like it's faster. Although it might be. Maybe the pivot save idea was silly. If I had a pivot save in call it Fire Home Mode, I would go back to it. But maybe I should have just gone back to the landing site. For the record, you could do the seed much faster than how I'm doing it. I'm just taking it slow for the sake of teaching and pointing out stuff. There's a way to get Metroid Crash without hyper missiles, but it's a very difficult BSJ and will not be shown, especially because I've never done it. Bring the fires to that big area. Space those incorrectly, you can actually, or space that shot incorrectly, you can actually, you can actually mess with it. Okay, so now is when things start getting scary, because all the checks that we have remaining to us, available to us, are at for hyperroll. So we have Moganar, which could be vanilla. We have Omega Ridley, which is very long. And that might be it. Oh, I did not mean to save. Okay. Let's see if Hypo was wrong. So, Mogadar is a pretty simple boss. Make sure to try and not get a slip jump and/or activate screw attack early because it likes to eat your screw attack off that ship. You know, otherwise, if you don't have screw attack, you don't have to worry about that. So Mogadar, generally the gist of it is, you know, use hyper mode, but there's a little bit more strategy to that. Because we have the cutscene, we get repositioned, we get repositioned to the other side, and we get the laser bombs at his feet. But every subsequent time that that happens, it doesn't reposition you. So you don't have to worry about that. I did not know that ago, and I didn't even notice that I lost him because I didn't see him to the team. Okay, he just did a attack that caused him to just hide his weak points for a while. You can use Morphball if you want to try and avoid them, but I'm not very big at this. Okay. There we go. By the way, if you're wondering, for Hyper Mode DPS, charge hyper mode is good if you already have a charge, like if you have the time to charge it, but if you are able to fire immediately, then you should use it uncharged. Just before the auto event. Let's see. Oh man, it is vanilla. Okay. That's pretty bad. Well, there you go. It's not uncommon to last location Hyperball. I almost last location. Omega Ridley could have been Hyperball, which is just as bad, maybe worse. Man. Well, now we are in go mode. I didn't do it. Darn it. Go back to command. Go and input the code. Again, leaving the Wii at neutral, the Wii remote away from the sensor bar, so the aim is at neutral, game center. Because we open up the shortcut, second level here. I'll probably do phase wall crawl and like the skips just to show it because phase is pretty self-explanatory. Oh yeah, I can enter hyper mode to use this. You have to use bombs for this tunnel up here. Another voltage requirement. And we can do a slope jump up to the trigger here. There we go. I was trying to lock onto the thing, but I didn't get it. If you have that L movement, then it can make it easier. Okay. Now we're also going to get a call from Emerald Dane, which we have to cycle through, because finishing that call is what actually allows you to
Samus,
go to phase.
Now we'll be able to... It's time to end. Once you rendezvous with the... I look forward to fighting alongside you again, Samus. Godspeed.
You can skip through most of it while doing this motion control stuff. I just use my index finger to hold B and thumb to hold 1. Not very ergonomic, but it does work. I think they have a lot of E-tags, so it'll make sharing a phase wall crawl pretty good. Easy. Having hyperwall does make some strats a little different though, but it's not too bad. Good practice to save before you enter phase. It is banned. You are correct, Joe Boss. What I'm about to do is not allowed in races. I am just demonstrating for educational purposes. Because the inbounds part of phase is pretty easy. There's not really any like tech. It's kind of going through it fast. Also, because of an MP3 update, after we land on phase, we're just going to immediately transition into the permanent hyper mode state. There's not going to be any cutscene or bit or anything. I want to start by jumping this spike here. Skip having to go through the normal path. If you hug the wall to the right there, you can get an instant move. Here's the essentially hard required hyper grapple requirement. There's a way to get out of bounds in the landing site to skip it, but it's very, very hard, not practical. Okay, so we're gonna do an SSJ here against this wall. Easier. So that what I just did is the primary hyper missile requirement. But you can actually skip doing that by performing an SSJ. In that SSJ, you stand roughly to the left of this route, and then you have to perform a boost SSJ. The hardest part about it is that it's kind of hard to get the spring ball out, because the spring ball does not like working when you're against slopes, and there are slopes in this part. Let me just try and demonstrate it once. There we go. So that's how it's performed, to skip hyper missiles. First thing we need. And now it's to actually get out of bounds. And we need to go through this hole here. No collision here. My personal setup is to look like roughly here. Then boost back, although I messed it up there because I didn't get the spring ball. This is probably the hardest part of it. If you're just skipping hyper missiles, or if you're just skipping hyper ball, you have hyper missiles, you don't have to get SSJ. There we go. I like to move back just a little bit here, because if you fall too far and you get hit by those, you'll be in a lot of trouble, because you can only get out of them by morphing. So now I have to Aether jump up, and Aether jumping in this game, you don't have L movement unless you lock onto something. So what you have to do is, when you flick right to get the Aether jump, you want to flick back to the left, so that you don't have a bunch of right side speed, and you're probably gonna fall if you have too much right side speed. A little tricky, but there's a rhythm to it. You can also alternatively try to grab this lock on and do Aether jumps like this, but if you press B1 too many times, then you will activate screw attack and you'll be in trouble. So when that scan visor reaches 3 bars is when I like to morph there to drop from the Aether ceiling. It's barely not in the right spot, or did I destroy the thing that does that? You need to lock onto something here to get unstuck. There we go. This room will be loaded, so transition this room, then jump down from it onto this door, and look at the radar to see when the enemies spawn, to see when the room loads. Then jump backwards-ish here, so that you land in the Aether. Now walk around into this. This is not going to be like a thorough phase wall crawl tutorial or anything. This is just a brief overview. So drop on the door from this angle, and then we're going to go down here, and we're going to immediately morph, because this room is very large. Make sure to unmorph earlier rather than later, because if you unmorph too late, then you might be what is essentially a soft lock. Now we're going to drop onto this door. Now if you're trying to skip Hyperball and only do part of the phase wall crawl, you can just door warp into this by moving in front of the door and shooting it. I'm going to show the rest of it, which isn't required for skipping Hyperball. I believe you might also be able to do this if you are skipping Hyper Missiles, I'm not certain. But at the very least, I know if you are skipping just Hyperball, then you can end the wall crawl there. But if you want to be fast, then you can continue it. We're going to go onto that door from that exact way that I got onto that door above me. You need to approach it from the side, or you're going to fall into the blocks. I now need to land on this door. Make sure to hold Z when approaching this if you're trying to look down at the door, because there's a camera trigger that'll cause you to face forward, which is not what you want. Oh, I hit the low trigger. Interesting. Getting stuck on these doors is pretty annoying, but I don't know. Okay, we transition. Good. Okay. Or maybe this is the one where you need to hold Z. Either way, hold Z for both. Door. Go. And this is another one we have to force load. Force loading doors is pretty awkward because the collision there gets kind of weird. So I like double jumping up while it's loading to try and have the door close again. For this room, we need to hit a load trigger, and the best way to do that is by screw tacking forward once here. There we go. And now we need to be very cautious here, because we need to use this lock-on to move away from the wall. But we need to hit the dock that's at the bottom. And we need to inch away from the wall so enough that we fall, but then immediately move back forward. Because we need to fall. That looks good. Yeah, okay, we're getting stuck there, and there we go. Okay. That wasn't like the fastest baseball call, but I didn't try to show off everything. Now it's Dark Samus. And Dark Samus is a pretty easy boss fight. You just kind of spam hyper mode. Now there's a minor amount of tech here, because you will try to like heal, but you can use X-ray to figure out which one she actually is. Charge hyper mode while she's doing anything. And for the record, if you come out of phase wall call with very little health, but you hit the spy trigger, then you are all good because there's a checkpoint here if you die. Alright, now it's time for Roaring Unit. And trick to this is having really good aim, because, oh damn it. If you miss it, then you're gonna have to deal with this. You can one cycle it, but it's kind of tricky, and you need to be pretty precise. And the, what's happened? Okay. And the attacks that she does are kind of random. Sometimes she can just immediately go back to the new tentacles to give you an opportunity to attack. Alright, so for this, we're gonna shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 hyper missiles. I should have shot 1 hyper missile and then done 4 shots, and then another hyper missile. But you want to do this to 2 cycle her. Alright, what RNG are we getting? Okay, we're getting tentacles. Okay, nice. That was very good. Sometimes she can go back into like attacking, like any of our other attack options. Okay, there we go. Okay, that attack is fine. This is really just aim well and fire. And the frame that we kill the Aurora unit head is the frame that live split heads. This attack I like using charge hyper mode for, because given that you just hit her enough times, she'll get stuck animation. And that's GG. And there we go. We have completed the seed. 2 hours and 41 minutes, 23 seconds. Could have been a lot faster. Yeah. Can't you screw when she does the roll? I think you can. I think I forgot about that. Maybe you can. Might be able to screw attack when she just starts spinning her head on the ground. Alright. Hope y'all learned something. That was pretty interesting seed. I learned some new things myself as well. A lot of things to learn with this game. Yeah, very fun randomizer. Very all the seeds feel unique even in basic settings. So yeah, just again, the wall crawl out of bounds I did would not be allowed, which is why I went out of the way to get hyperpole and hyper missiles. But I did show how you would go about skipping them. There we go. Alright. Well, I'm gonna wrap up stream. Let's see if we have somebody to raid. Let's raid Jorp. Jorp is live. JRP. Can't wait to send this to Kat. Yeah. Okay. Raid. Currently playing Link to the Past. Looks like. doing Link to the Past. Oh my god, he is doing some crazy stuff right now. Okay, I don't know what that is, but it looks cool. Alright. Thank you for watching, gamers. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next mission. And bye-bye.